Hello and welcome to another episode of Father and Son Days, the unexplainable guide to absolutely nothing. Today we've got a spooky one for you. We're going to be talking about ghosts. Very scary.
Ooh, yes.
Wonder what's coming. So to start off with, let's just do a quick disclaimer. This is a conversation about the paranormal, like that kind of ghost, rather than the BBC TV series, which we actually love. It's fantastic,
yes,
really
we
funny.
Love that.
Yeah. So just to start off with, I, as a child, would believe in things like that, believe in ghosts and everything like that. I did grow up, started to get a bit more rational, and now I don't believe in any of the such. I mean, I think it's something that comes with age and maturity and stuff like that. So how about you, Dad?
Well, when I was younger, I did, like most kids, believe in ghosts. Then I was a young adult, and then I believed in ghosts then as well. And then as an adult and a middle-aged man, I still believe in ghosts because they exist, yeah. So I think straight away you've upset me. But, you know, continue.
Oh, I've upset you straight away?
Yeah. Making out that I'm too immature.
I think there are rational explanations to why people do believe in ghosts. I just don't believe there's a rational excuse as to the fact that they actually do exist, if you know what I mean. Like, I think sometimes there's a lot of belief systems, really, and a lot of people believing things because they want to believe in them rather than them actually existing. We could go into a lot more deep kind of thought with that, but sometimes people need that to kind of be mentally motivated and such like that. I think the thought of having died at the end of without sounding all like that, but the fact of is dying and the thought of not there being nothing, I think scares people. That's why they like to have this thought that there is some kind of life there, and that's why a lot of people believe in ghosts.
Well, it's a strange one because I don't necessarily believe that there's trying to not get deep now, thinking about an afterlife, but I do believe there's such a thing as ghosts. I think it depends whether you think of ghosts being entities that are dead people as opposed to an essence of something, an essence of a particular happening. Or in my mind, I think ghosts are if something violent or something extraordinary has happened, sometimes there's a residue of that moment. Something lingers there that creates these sort of images, and obviously I do get that if you have heard a story about something and then you go to somewhere where that event is supposed to have taken place, then the mind is a very complicated thing. It could be that is enough to suggest to you that you're going to see something, so you then do see something. But so many people have that experience that, okay, I'm not talking about a ghost in a bedsheet going around, that sort of ghost. I'm talking about something that's there, something that remains in a place, something that's attached to a place. I mean, is that something that you still... I guess it's not scientific, is it? That's the thing.
First of all, when you said about lingering, do you mean like when the dog does a blow off in the room and then walks out, and then he's still got the ghost of his blow off there? Yeah,
it creates some sort of wicked entity that sort of sweeps around the house and really does affect everybody involved. Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah. Well,
let's face it, it's not just the dog, is it?
The cat started doing some really bad ones too.
Yeah, or the cat. I think we're skirting around some problems here.
Your ones aren't normally silent.
Yeah. Mine's are more like poltergeists because they make objects move and things fly across the room. There you go. There's another thing, poltergeists. So a poltergeist, again, people talk about those being something that remains in a particular place that's a spiteful, or you don't see a poltergeist. A poltergeist is something that just creates havoc, creates problems, creates movement around a house and affects people, that's a different kind of thing again. But, you know, I mean, I'm open to being persuaded that they don't exist. But, you know, I've had experience of what I believe is that sort of thing. You know, I can't tell you that I've seen a headless horseman galloping down our road outside and you know, waving at me. But I've certainly been in situations where I can't really explain what happened or, you know, what was going on around me. So
I get that. I mean, when someone can't necessarily explain something, a quick explanation could be, oh, it's a ghost or something like that. And I think even when you've mentioned about a lot of people seeing things, now, I don't know about you, but do you ever sometimes, I'm trying to think of a real example here, but maybe you look at a park bench and the way the screws are in the park bench and the way there's a scratch on the bench make it look a bit like it's got a face. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And that's
you're talking about sort of Jesus in a tea towel sort of thing.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But a lot of the time people will see things like that and instantly, because you like to see yourself, everyone likes to see an image of what they perceive like human. So you want to see these human features. You even do it with animals as well. You go, oh, they've got human eyes and stuff like that. And you see this image of a face. It might just be like a really cartoon style smiley face. But gradually there are things that you'll look at and you'll stare at for a while and you'll think, oh no, there is a face hidden in that. We've got the tiles in the kitchen, and I've sat there having a look at those, and you can see things like I've noticed there's one that looks a bit like Gollum in it. And then there's, but then because they're manufactured tiles, there's another tile that also looks like it's got Gollum in it. So there's nothing for me to suggest, oh, that's a face of something like a ghostly figure, because it's a manufactured thing. But my point being is it's very easy to look at something and then spot something within that image. A lot of people see these ghostly figures and then will think, oh, it's a ghost. But it's not. It's just your mind piecing together things that make it look like a ghost, make it look like a face, something you recognise, because people like seeing things that they recognise. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, for 1 minute, I don't think our kitchen floor is possessed. And obviously, as far as seeing an image in something, yeah, I get that. I mean, most of the stuff that Mum brings back from the allotment, vegetables and such, look like other things. Granted,
yeah.
mostly genitalia,
yeah.
But you know, it does resemble something else. As we have a good laugh about it, so that's not a problem, is it? But okay, all right. So, for instance, if I when I was younger, when I was sort of in my teens, I lived opposite a school. The school had a caretaker. The caretaker's son was a good friend of mine. They lived up the road to us.
May I just point out, sorry, you said you lived across the school in your teens. You lived across the school until you moved out of the house.
Oh, yeah, no, that's true. But what I'm talking about is this happened when I was
years.
in my teens,
yes.
Yeah. Okay, right. Let's not get picky about this, eh? But so I was at my friend's house, and while I was at my friend's house, his dad came in to the house and he was in bits. He was white as a sheet. He was shaking. He took a lot of calming down. We didn't really know quite what was going on at the time. But he, being the caretaker over at that school, saw something there that absolutely freaked him out. And, you know, as we went to that school, so, you know, for us it was exciting, you know, what's going on, all this sort of thing. Now, rightly or wrongly, sometime later, we went over there one evening when we were there with him, just to, you know, because he'd got a lot of stick about what was going on. There'd been obviously it had spread around the school and there were some problems there. So we went over there with him and stood there. Now, without a doubt, you know, we stood in a hall. We all stood quietly. We were all together, when noises started to move from the opposite to where we were down in the hallway, all the way round the back of us, and all the way back round. And like, I'm talking quite significant, first of all, like footsteps, but then like bangs. So we were all freaked out. And again, I get that, a bit suggestible. You're in there because you think there's something in there anyway. So you're listening out for things. We all talked about whether it was the pipes, and as the pipes were going round and then we walked down and into a couple of classrooms where there was some problems that that's where he'd actually seen things happening. And I stood there and I saw, I didn't see anything at all as far as what you'd class as a ghost, but there was things that you couldn't explain. We stood there was no windows open, we stood still, and then the mobile that was above us that the kids had made started sort of flapping about and moving around a little bit more than it should be, because there was no drafts, there was nothing like that. And I guess, and even as I'm saying this, I can see where, the suggestion of something happening. But I just saw that guy's face when he first came into the house, when he was so frightened, and I mean, as an adult. And then I went in there and I could, whether I could feel it because everybody else was feeling it, or I could experience something because I was expecting to experience something. But it certainly felt like that. It certainly felt like there was something actually going on.
Yeah.
Now, I've also had another experience when I was at home. And again, I've spoken about this many times. I was in my bedroom. I was only a kid then. My brother shared the same bedroom with me. I can remember being in bed. We had a unit in the corner that had a railway track on it. I'd got a toy plastic gun that, not very PC now, but at the time we had. That was on the side. And I sat there in bed. I woke up. I think I woke up, but, my brother was asleep. I saw a boy walk into the room. I saw him. I looked at him. I got up and sat up in bed looking at him. He walked over to where the railway was. He was still looking at me. He took something from the top of there, walked back out the door. I got out of bed, walked out onto the landing, and he was walking down. I saw him walking down the stairs and then turned the corner again. By that time, I started to freak out. Obviously, everybody woke up and, there was no sign of anything. The gun that was actually on the top, we never found again, never, and again, we could, there's plenty of things was my brother playing tricks on me. My brother was sound asleep. So,
I mean, your brother's put typewriters under your bed and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll give you that. My brother he used to sit in the front room and go, "Oh, I'm quite tired." And at first, everybody used to look at him and think, "Oh, okay then." And he'd go up to bed before me, which was sort of weird because he's 3 years older than me. But by the time that had happened a few times, we realised that he'd been setting things up on the top of the door. Yes, he put a typewriter in my bed, which I didn't even notice once, and got my foot caught in it. lots of things happened. He did have to stop when I used to send my mum up first to check out whether there was anything booby-trapped before I went in there. But, it went on for a little while, let's say. But again, I get that that's not necessarily, there's no proof, is there? But there's certainly that happened. Whether it happened and I was half asleep and I imagined it all, it didn't feel like that at the time. It still doesn't feel like that. But I'm not stupid. It could well have been the case, and I do sort of have a conflict with all this because I don't necessarily believe in an afterlife, but then I don't disbelieve that there's such a thing as a ghost. So that kind of contradicts itself in a way anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
I guess it's the unexplained. It's the unexplained that we all love, don't we?
The unexplained quickly can quite easily just be put down to something like ghosts or something like that. I mean, in a lot of cases there can be, you said about being in bed, being half asleep. It quite honestly could have been just you're half asleep. You feel like you've seen something, you're half dreaming. You can daydream, stuff like that. Generally, people don't see things in the light, do they? You said about the thing in the what was it called, the mobile thing
Mobile.
in the classroom. I mean, did you just open the door? Because it's quite possible that there was a waft of air that went up and then across the ceiling
Well,
and then
no,
spun it.
we'd all been in there for a few minutes or so. We'd closed the door behind us and stood there. Yeah, everything you say is quite sort of, and it's a sensible way of looking at it. And there's no way you can prove it. You're
Even
right. It often happens when perhaps your mind will play tricks on you when you're tired, when you're in a place that in inverted commas, is spooky. It's dark. It's creepy. There's silence. There might be a few noises. It starts to spark all that off, doesn't it? Gets your imagination running. I mean,
yeah.
I have got quite a vivid imagination. Still have. So I guess, at the moment, I'm imagining I'm doing a podcast about ghosts. God knows what's really happening. So I guess that's the power of persuasion, and perhaps it's the want to. You said right at the beginning to actually want something like that to be true, because if it's true, then as much as you see people look at ghosts and say they're good ghosts or there's bad ghosts, it really simplifying it. But if you thought that there was something more, then that would give you sort of more, I don't know, more sort of belief that this isn't just it. Okay, let's switch this around then. Has there ever been anything in your life that has happened that you can't explain that could be put down to something along the lines of what I've been talking about?
I think it's not so much that I can't explain. I mean, even just sitting here, I'm looking over across my room at some drawings I've done, and they're all wafting around. There's no wind or anything in here. The windows are closed. They're moving around. That's because they're sitting above the radiator. That's just difference in air pressure and the heat and stuff like that. That's causing them to wave.
But what if you walked over to that radiator, touched it, and it was cold?
Would you like me to walk over to the radiator and see if it's
No, because there's no need for that. But what if you did?
But again, there could still be a difference in pressure in the room.
Yeah.
If you understand what I mean. Even just whether it's cold in one corner of the room and it's warmer in another corner of the room, because I'm in one half of the room and no one's in the other half of the room. It's cold because maybe the walls are thinner, maybe there's a connection, some slight thing from under the door as well. It's going to be colder over there, it's going to be warmer over here. Means there's going to be a kind of convection in the room, which means that even if everything was perfectly still, there would still be a chance that you might have something as light as a piece of paper just wafting around. I mean, that's not to say that stuff like you said in the mobile in that room, that's not to say that wasn't what happened. I've had other stuff as well.
Well, yeah, just from what you said, I mean, I think the problem you've got is you're starting to use facts and and science.
Yeah, no, that's the problem, isn't it?
I don't think you're opening your mind up far enough in order to take on these other things on a different level. I wish you'd embrace it, but you're too clever.
Well, go on. We'll go with one thing that from a child. So
yeah,
as a child, I was laying in bed. You remember when I was a kid? I used to have lots of posters in my room, didn't I?
Yep.
Yeah. So I had a Lilo and Stitch poster in my room. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So I had this dream one night, and this one definitely was a dream. I was laying there, and there was kind of like these high kind of cliff faces. Everything was dark, kind of stormy, kind of... It wasn't raining, but it was like dark clouds overhead. We were there as a family, family day out. And there was like rope bridges going across. Now, I remember, and in Star Wars, the monster that's inside the asteroid, the one like the big, it's almost like an eel. Yeah. There was big kind of things of those down at the bottom of this really, really deep pit, and you started going across the bridge and then you fell down and you were in this pit. And I woke up suddenly. I was a bit worried about you. I was already terrified. I was laying there like, it wasn't real. I'm laying there in bed, And as I'm laying there, there's the Lilo and Stitch poster on the wall, and there is Lilo and Stitch, and they're inside. And they used to have a TV series that had lots of different of Stitch's cousins, like
Oh, right. Other aliens, other experiments.
other experiments. That's it. And they were all inside this kind of this truck kind of thing, like a Land Rover type thing, and they were all driving it, and they were driving towards me out of the poster. I kind of moved to one side, and then they drove past.
Wow.
And then that's kind of all I remember from that. But I was convinced that these drove out of the poster. And because I was, as far as I was concerned, very much awake.
Right.
That was the only one that I was kind of like, whoa, that's strange. But it was in the middle of the night, and really, though I was awake, it's still possible that your mind continues in a dreamlike state and will try and convince you things. And that's what I feel like happened there. Because I don't know about... I wasn't aware that Lilo and Stitch had died, so I wasn't aware they could be ghosts, you know?
Right. I thought you were going to say, when you were telling that story, that you took off your pyjamas, you had tyre marks going up one side of you.
Oh, I bet, yeah. I've still got them on me today.
Exactly. So, well, they do say, look, I mean, I get it. I get a dream state. I get that can sort of... there's varying degrees of being asleep. So I can see how that would work in that sort of case. I mean, but they do talk about your mind as well, don't they? They talk about your brain and how much of your actual brain you use. There are parts
some more than others.
Yeah. I don't know quite whether that was just a swipe at me then, but
take it how you want.
So there's parts of the brain that just aren't used, and they talk about harnessing those parts of your brain. Now, would you look at that as being something that would make you or enable you to perceive or see things that other people couldn't? Or what would that part of your brain be for? That's not being used. Is that evolution? That we don't use that? Did we once use that? Is it something we are going to use? I mean, you've got a massive head, so God knows how much. I mean, yeah, it's like a melon. God knows how much of your brain is not being used, and you're an intelligent lad. So
I will point out that once we did measure both our heads, and we had the same circumference. Actually, I think yours was...
I can't believe that.
You were there.
I've got a little peanut head to compare yours.
I mean,
but you see what I mean.
You're saying about we only use a percentage of our brain. I'm pretty sure that's been proved wrong.
Oh, that's not in the comics I read.
Oh, the comics you read?
No, I think that's fairly recently I've read that. Oh,
Pinky in the brain. Pinky in the brain.
Melons and peanuts. It's people write these things. Intelligent people. There's pictures and everything. But no, I mean, perhaps I'm wrong, but I thought that was the case. I thought, that if you harness some of your brain power, you might be able to move things from like a truck from a poster past you with only your thought.
I mean, that would be great if I could do that. I mean, throughout my whole life, I've continuously attempted to try and move things from my mind, like Jedi tricks.
Have you really? Because I thought I was the only one who did that.
No, I think it's very common. I think
Is
a
it?
lot of people try it.
I'm pleased about
really
that.
was trying the other day. Because I know it's not possible, but part of me just wants to do it.
But
I just think
is it?
if I try hard enough, maybe. I've got my lightsaber mounted on my wall, so it'd be great if I could then...
just swing that off and knock someone's head off.
Just go, hang on, I'll give it a go. It's not working.
No?
No, it's still on the wall.
Yeah. Actually, think of that. If you can use your powers to summon some snacks and some drinks for the next podcast, because, we're on our second one and yet there's still nothing available.
Well, we didn't think this through this time. I didn't even bring a drink upstairs this time.
All right. Well, I'll give you that then. Okay. Well, look, we beg to differ. We beg to differ on... And I can't seriously sit here and say I've got any concrete facts about, or proof that things exist like that. Maybe it's because I want them to exist. Maybe it's my love of the X-Files that brings that
Yeah,
forward.
you've been watching that a lot recently.
I have again, yeah. But, perhaps I'm more open-minded than you are. That's not saying that's better than you, but, I don't know.
Look, I mean, I would, in a way, love to be proved wrong. I would love for someone for all of a sudden there to be ghosts. It's just, logically, I can't think of a way that they could be ghosts. And, I mean, if people want to believe it, if they want to, that's fine. If it's going to make their lives better, I've got absolutely no problem with it. I've just got no reason as to believe they do exist. I mean, everything is made up of matter in this universe. Every single person is made up of atoms. Now, I just don't understand how something can exist without there being matter there. I mean, I know there's forces that apply to things, but what controls those forces is the universe. There's no spirit there to. Nothing can be done.
But then we
there.
get into other new sort of area there as far as the universe and my theories on what actually the universe is. So that's for another time.
That's for another podcast, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. I'll blow your mind.
David Harding's theories of the universe.
Absolutely.
All right, I look forward to that one.
Oh, yeah, you should do. It'll be a real treat.
Yeah, I bet it will. And now, a message from our spooky sponsors.
Whether it's just itchy because of all the sweat, or you've sat down and didn't see the Gary Barlow action figure again, we understand. We've all been there. We don't ask questions. We're just here to help. Peterson's Anus Cream, with the opposite of a pain in the butt.
Side effects may include hair growth, radical combustion of the bum, or intolerance to jelly beans. Not to be applied to the anus or any surrounding tissue. May contain nuts. If it's brown, flush it down. Not to be used with toothpaste. Be used within 48 hours or as read the label.
Game time.
Woohoo! Okay, then following on from our talk about ghosts.
Okay.
Right, I thought what I'll do is I'm going to read you out, one at a time, 10 creatures. Let's call them creatures, right, for the sake of argument. And I want you to tell me whether you think they're real things, true, lived out there, once or still do, or they don't exist at all. All right? Got that? It's fairly simple.
So. I think so.
Just want to see how open your mind was.
Yeah, so say if they're real or not, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
I might ask some some more questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you got? Sorry, just before we go, have you got a name for this game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called. I wrote it down somewhere. I'm not making this up at all as I go along. It's called Myths or Real.
Because it came with Myths or Real. Right, go ahead.
Don't mock the game. Right, okay, we're going to kick off with the Loch Ness Monster.
I want you to go, Loch Ness Monster, Myths or Real?
Oh, sorry, okay.
Like deal or no
Loch Ness
deal?
Monster, myth or real?
Loch Ness Monster, myth.
See, what was it? What's in the loch then, or what was in the loch?
Look, I mean, that one, to be fair, is a bit more. I'm going to go and say. I'm not going to say there was never anything there, so I can't say whether this one is definitely a myth or definitely real. I think, as of this moment in time, I think there's probably nothing in there. But probability says that there was a dinosaur-like creature in there at some point. Really, there might have been something there.
The game isn't myth, real, or might be. That wasn't the name of the game, you know.
Well, if I'm saying
a lot of work into this game.
Oh yeah. How long did you spend?
I'm going to push you. Myth or real, Loch Ness Monster.
Okay, if you're going to push me as to an answer for right here, right now, I'm going to say Myth.
Okay, we'll have that. Right, number 2. Unicorns, myth or real?
Well, unicorns is a difficult one because are you talking about unicorn as in the horse with a horn on it, or because otherwise it could be a rhino and that's real.
Well, no, I'd have said rhino, wouldn't I? Myth or real, and that'd have been really easy. It's unicorns, the horse with the horn on the front of it.
I'm gonna say a myth.
Myth.
Yeah, I mean I'm very much in the saying that someone has stuck a horn to the front of a horse's head and called it a unicorn, but it was not a real unicorn.
Really?
I've even seen it.
Okay.
They did it on the One Show one year for April Fool's Day.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of little girls really disappointed with that answer when it comes out. Okay, all right, I'm not going to go on with that one. Okay, Yeti or slash Bigfoot.
Whoa.
Slash abominable snowman. Myth or real?
Yeah, can we just take a moment? Yeti and Bigfoot, two different things altogether.
Oh, God. All right. Okay, right, now we'll go back to originally. Yeti, myth or real?
Yeti.
Yeti.
Okay. I don't actually know much about the Yeti. I would say a myth because in reality it probably is. Whereabouts is the Yeti meant to be anyway?
Oh, Nepal. Himalayas.
Nepal?
Yeah.
Oh.
Nepal. It's in the frozen wastelands and forests
So in reality, the Arctic,
snowy
kind of
places.
northern hemisphere.
Not the Arctic. Not the Arctic at all. We're talking about in the snow-capped mountains of Europe.
Right. So
and
possibility is it could be a polar bear. I'm going to say myth.
Oh, right, okay. Okay, number 4. Giant squid. Myth or real?
Real, that one.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to go giant squid real because, yeah, you might not necessarily see them much, but the ocean is a huge place. We're still discovering fish in the ocean.
Right.
I think that one very much could be. I mean, I know you could make the same argument for the Loch Ness Monster, but a loch is very different to the ocean. I think giant squid is real, and even if it doesn't necessarily, maybe it could potentially be extinct now, but I think it did exist.
Okay, all right. These are your answers.
What would you say with that one then? Because you seem a bit...
Well, giant squid, depends how giant you're talking. If you're talking Kraken giant, sort of comes up and pulls down ships and things, absolutely they exist, yeah. Right. Next one.
Not the giant squid that destroys planets.
No, what's the point of that? What's the point of being a giant squid if you're not going to attack boats? Right, number 5. Phoenixes. Myth or real?
Myth. I haven't even got an argument for that one because I've never even... A creature that sets itself on fire and then rebirths itself. Yeah. Sorry, I can't say that one's real at all.
Isn't that what pigeons do?
Oh yeah, you're right. Are pigeons not just the modern day phoenix setting themselves on fire? Because I've seen them down south in High Street with their lighters as well. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I think you'll find I'm right there. Yeah. Okay. All right. What about dragons? Myth or real?
Dragon. I don't know. I don't know why I said it like that.
I don't know.
Dragons. They are a myth, but a very cool myth. Because there's dragons in lots of different cultures. This is the strange thing about dragons is you've got them very much ingrained in Chinese culture, but you've also got them in like
Harry Potter.
In Harry Potter culture and Lord of the Rings culture.
Yeah.
And fantasy culture, but the fantasy comes in more of a... Well, you see a lot of fantasy things are based on kind of Europe, aren't they? They feel European. If you were to read something like Lord of the Rings, and especially Lord of the Rings, because I guess a lot of them are British,
Scandinavian, I suppose. Yeah,
you got
a lot of Nordic.
You got a few British actors in there and stuff like that. And Game of Thrones is very British, but everything feels like you said, Scandinavian, European, British, stuff like that. So those ones is a myth, but is something that it is strange how it goes across a lot of cultures. But then
Could it be something that did exist that now is extinct? You know, like ferrets.
the ferret's extinct.
I think I'm right in saying
I think you're
that.
thinking fairies.
I watch a lot of fairies. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fairies. They're extinct.
What northern people keep down their trousers? Fairies.
Yeah.
That's it. They don't exist anymore. That's right.
What,
Yeah.
northern people?
Northern people very much exist. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, sorry. So this wasn't ferrets. This was actually forgot what would. Oh, dragons.
Dragons.
Yeah. I think it's strange that there are lots of cultures, but there's no proof to as to the fact that they did exist. Again, it's something that if someone was to prove me wrong, I'd happily be proved wrong. A lot of this
Okay.
stuff, if someone's proved me wrong, I'd happily be proved wrong. But
Right. Okay. We'll move on then. What about mermaids? Myth or real?
oh, well, they found skeletons. But have you seen that?
No.
No. Okay. There was.
I mean,
there's-
I've seen skeletons.
You've seen
If that's
skeletons?
what. Yeah. Yeah.
There was
But,
like there was a mermaid skeleton. I believe it was pretty much someone pieced together a couple of skeletons to make it
Oh,
look
you
like a
talking
mermaid.
about Barnum with a monkey's head and body and a fish's tail?
I don't know
That was
what you're talking about there.
A famous sideshow freak show. Barnum used to have all these sort of things, and he did exhibit as a genuine fake a monkey's torso sewed onto a fish's body as a mermaid.
When
It
you
was
say
sort
Barnum,
of mummified.
do you mean Barney is in the Purple Dinosaur?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it was well before Barney the Purple Dinosaurs.
Which he's prehistoric, so that's really strange. Mermaids, I'm going to go with they are a myth. It's again, there's actually a kind of thing here because you said about giant squids and mermaids.
Mermaids lure people onto the rocks, don't they?
Yeah,
Sirens.
but these are people like naval kind of things like ships and stuff like that. People on ships would come up with these kind of stories as to why this boat crashed or something like that, or why
Not
this
that they were all
boat sunk in
drunk
the
or
middle of the sea. Not that they were
Yeah.
all drunk and someone decided to
Yeah.
see if they could take a shortcut between two rocks.
Yeah, over
No,
land.
I'm going to go with a myth again,
Okay.
except for Ariel.
Oh, of course, yeah. Okay then. Dinosaurs, myth or real?
Dinosaurs, very much real. Very much proof for those. They don't obviously exist anymore, but they very much did. They're great. Love dinosaurs. That sounded a bit Donald Trump-esque there, didn't it? Love dinosaurs. Anyway,
It's because of the small hands.
yeah, my tiny hands. I was doing the hand thing as well, you know, the OK sign. You know, finger and thumb. No, dinosaurs, they exist. I mean,
Yeah, you
they've
see,
dug up
you
dinosaurs.
when I was younger, there was the main dinosaurs that you were taught were a T-Rex, Tyrannosaurus Rex, a Triceratops, and a Brontosaurus. And now, Brontosaurus, that doesn't exist anywhere. So are they making it up as they go along?
I think it's unfair to say they're making it up as they go along. They're trying to. It's like having a big old jigsaw, and they're trying to put the jigsaw together without the box to show what the picture is. And I think they're doing a very good job. I mean, saying something like a Brontosaurus doesn't exist anymore. Well, strictly speaking, by that logic, it never existed. And putting something together and saying, well, that never existed, and it was a made-up name anyway. No, like T-Rex when he was round back in the olden days, you know, back
In the
like
olden days, yeah.
1920s.
Yeah.
He didn't go, all right, my name's T-Rex, because he didn't have a name. So it's
Okay. Again,
that one's. But again, sorry, going back to the dragons thing, were dragons because someone pieced the dinosaur together wrong. A
Bit
pteranodon
like-
and maybe a velociraptor or a T-Rex, and they thought, oh look, these go together.
no, you should never put those things together. I've seen Jurassic Park. That's the thing that goes wrong every time.
Jurassic World, though.
Well, Jurassic
That's where it
World,
goes
Jurassic
really
Park,
wrong.
it goes very wrong.
Actually, talking
never
about that,
mix them up.
Wouldn't it have been great if they did mix Pteranodon with the Indominus Rex? It'd have a flying Indominus Rex. Wow.
No, can't see that. The next one ain't out yet. Maybe you're going to find one of them in them. Anyway, look, you're starting to talk like normal scientific sense, sensible, that sort of stuff around dinosaurs. And, you know, this is not, I want to pick holes in these things. Giants, myth or real?
What defines a giant?
Really big bloke or woman?
Really big
I'm not
bloke.
sexist.
Or woman. Yeah, they exist. I think there is a and I know you said about avoiding science, but there is a definition of a giant, and it's a bit like where a definition of a, I was about to say hobbit then, but you know what I mean, where those fall into place, and some people, you have to be over a certain height and people fit into that, so yeah, they are giants.
What about something like a BFG?
BFG? No, that is a myth.
Well, I'm sure I read that in a
book?
science book. Yeah.
Who was it written by? Roald Dahl?
Oh, yeah, maybe, but yeah.
All right.
Well, I think there's giants out there.
He makes dreams, doesn't he?
Yeah.
How are the dreams made? That tell you all about ghosts.
All right. Oh, full circle. Well done.
Oh, wow.
Right, and the last one I've got on here is badgers.
Well, I've only ever seen a badger when I've been on a night out and been really drunk. So I'm going to go for a myth because I've never seen them sober.
No, right, there you go then. That's
Yeah.
yeah, no, I agree completely. I mean, I did have an incident with a badger yesterday, in fact, but, you know, did I see it? Was it just a projection of my mind? Was I dreaming? Is it real? You know,
or was it just a fox in disguise?
It could have been. That's the sort of thing a fox would do. You can't trust foxes.
Yeah, they're so sly.
No, they're full of it. So look, no, that's great. I mean, I really think we've unravelled a lot.
I think
there's a lot of information for people to take on board there.
I think a real conclusion we've come to in this entire podcast, and there's been a lot of drivel all throughout, but I think the real thing that we can take home from this, and this is taking home even though we're already sat at home, is that badgers are a lie.
Yeah, I think if anything, if there's a tagline from this podcast, it's badgers are a lie, giant squids are inconclusive, and not everybody believes in ghosts.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to go. So thank you.
Hang on.
What's up?
We haven't gone through. We've got a couple of messages come through.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, one of which let's have a look through. They've come to the father and son Day's email.
Yeah.
Hi guys, love the podcast. Good start there. Keep up the good work. I have attached a picture of a rash that's appeared since the last podcast. Any thoughts? Oh, I've got many thoughts. That's from Clive from Aberdeen. I've got many thoughts, Clive. I really do think you need to seek professional help for both sending us an email about it and the actual rash itself, by the look of it.
Although, if you look at that rash really carefully, it's got the face of Jesus in it.
Oh, wow, yeah. Right on point, yeah. Oh, in that case, print up some tea towels. Get it sorted. Good one, Clive. Thanks for your input.
Thanks, Clive.
We've got another one. This is, oh dear. To who it may concern, never a good start. I am absolutely furious after listening to today's podcast. How dare you suggest that ghosts don't exist? I'll have you know I'm a ghost currently residing in a dilapidated shed in mid-Wales. If ghosts don't exist, then what am I? Oh, then he's put boo. Kind regards. Oh dear. Jim, born 1821, died 1863, killed by wasps. Well, Jim, I'm extremely sorry if we've upset you. I think, let's face it, if you've been killed by wasps, I'm sure this wasn't too upsetting for you, but obviously
really
you are.
Off.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're proof. He wanted proof. at the beginning of this podcast, and I said to him if I had proof, I'd give him proof. Well, this is proof. We've got an email from you. You do exist. Ghosts do exist. I think.
You know what?
Great.
I think that might have actually just changed my mind, because he must be a ghost, because he ended it with boo. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Classic ghost.
Classic ghost.
Classic ghost email. Classic.
You know what's even spookier is the fact that we haven't even published our first podcast at time recording, let alone this one, and we haven't even broadcast the email address. So this is what's really spooky about it.
It's supernatural. Only a ghost would, one, send an email with boo on the end of it, and do it when they didn't even know what the email address was.
And unless they're also Clive, because Clive managed to do it and he's not a ghost.
Okay, yeah, but he's obviously sending it to the wrong one. But scientists, there you go. Proves your point.
Right, and on that note, I think it is really time to end the podcast.
Yes, yeah.
So thank you so much for once again listening to Father and Sundays. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you haven't already, remember to subscribe on all the different platforms, if you use any. We also have a Twitter, a Facebook, an Instagram, so make sure you're following all of those if you actually want to. I'm not going to force you to, but it would be greatly appreciated. Keep up to date with things. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. We do podcasts every Sunday, or it's planned to every Sunday. There may be some Sundays we'll miss, but we'll get to those when we come to them. But just check those out, keep up to date, and I guess we'll be seeing you next time. Anything to add, Dan?
No, thoroughly enjoyed it, and see you soon.
Alright, thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.